Hello and welcome to this demonstration on creating and initializing arguments. In this video you will learn to create and initialize arguments from Arguments panel in Studio. Before we begin, let's understand the naming convention for arguments. The argument name should be meaningful and include an indication of its type. So now, let's create an argument. Navigate to the Arguments panel. Click Create Argument and enter an argument name, say int first number. Select direction as in and argument type as int32. Here we are using in as the argument direction. It means that it can only be used within the project. Now, create a second argument called int second number. Select direction as in and argument type as int32. Create a third argument called out_int sum and select direction as out and argument type as int32. Out direction is used to pass the value of an argument outside of the given project. Now, search for an assign activity and drag and drop it in the designer panel. A sequence is automatically created when the assign activity is dropped in the designer panel. Name the sequence activity as argument direction and add an annotation to it. Also, rename the assign activity as sum. In the to text box, enter out_int some argument that was created previously. Click on the ellipsis icon of the value field to open the expression editor window. Now type in_int first number plus in_int second number and click OK. Right-click the sequence container and select Extract as Workflow from the context menu. Selecting Extract as Workflow option will save it as a separate workflow and replace it with an invoke workflow activity that points to the extracted workflow, which you will create in the next step. In the pop-up window, enter sum two numbers as workflow name and click Create. In the main file, you can see that the extracted workflow sum two numbers is invoked. Rename the sequence activity in the main workflow as arguments direction and add an annotation to it. Create two input variables and one output variable in the main workflow. Create the first input variable called int first number with variable type as int32, scope set to sequence, arguments direction, and default value is 5. Create the second input variable int second number with variable type as int32, scope set to sequence, arguments direction, and default value is 10. Finally, create an output variable int result with variable type as int32 and scope set to sequence, arguments direction. Close the Variables panel. Now, click Import Arguments within Invoke Workflow. A pop-up window Invoked Workflows Arguments has appeared. Here, you can see the three arguments which we created earlier are present. We will pass the variables for each argument in the value field. For the argument named out_int sum, we will pass the variable int result. Similarly, for in_int first number, we will pass int first number variable. And for in_int second number, int second number variable. Click OK. Search for a message box activity and drag and drop it below Invoke Workflow. Rename the activity as result. In the text box, enter the variable int result. Click Save to save the project. And select Run from the Debug File menu on the Design ribbon to run the project. As you can see, the result 15 is displayed on the screen, which is the sum of 5 and 10. It is encouraged that you follow the steps as mentioned to create and initialize your arguments successfully. Thank you for watching.